ClancyPasta presents I Don't Ride Alone in Elevators Anymore, written by Illubuu and narrated by Clancy. There are loads of reasons to fear elevators. Sometimes it's the small space that makes those with claustrophobia sweat and shiver, or it can be the thought of being so close to so many strangers with only one way out. Perhaps they just can't help themselves in imagining the carriage getting stuck on its way up, or, for the truly fearful, the thought of the cable snapping completely and meeting their end at the bottom. In any case, I was never any of those people. An elevator was just a piece of machinery designed to take me from here to there and maybe back again. I might have flirted with the thought that it could kill me, but if the gods decided I should die in a little metal box falling from 100 feet in the air, there was little I could do to stop them. I was in Florida when it happened. I was just checking out of my hotel with my bags in tow and positioned myself in front of the elevator I hoped would open first. As I waited, an elderly couple, complete with a wheelchair and walker, meandered up behind me. It was just my luck when the other elevator door opened and the old woman stepped inside. Who I presumed to be her husband, walked up to join her, but stopped. "The wheelchair won't fit in there, dear." "Then leave it." "I'm not leaving the chair up here, we need it." "Then come back up and grab it." The old man sighed, pressing the back of his hand to his forehead. Before he could reply, I walked up to him and gave a small wave. "Are you both headed down to the lobby?" The man gave me a quizzical look. He glanced to his wife and then back at me. "Yes?" "I am too." I gestured to the wheelchair. "I could bring that down with me when I go, so you can both ride down together." "See, Jerry?" The woman was grinning. "Now come along, all this standing is making my ankle ache." Jerry gave me a polite nod and a quiet thanks before he patted the wheelchair and joined his wife in the elevator. In perfect sync, as soon as their doors closed, the second elevator doors opened. I quickly gathered my belongings, setting them inside the seat of the wheelchair, and squeezed inside. I prayed no one ran up last minute to join me, and I only sighed once the doors had closed and I felt the carriage shimmy as it started its descent. I was stationed on the 6th floor, and my eyes drifted up to the small display reading 5, and then 4, and then 3. Suddenly, something shifted in my stomach. I felt lighter. I grabbed for the rails along the walls. It felt like I was falling. The display still read 3 as if we had stopped on the 3rd floor, but I could still hear the elevator moving. I realized the noises were getting more frantic, faster. My feet started to lift off the floor. I was in free fall. My hands grabbed the railing as I squeezed my eyes shut. Just my fucking luck. I almost laughed at myself as I waited for impact. God will, I wouldn't survive this. Who knows what state I'd be in if I did. But the crunch never came. Just as gently as I had been lifted, my feet found the ground again. The elevator shimmied again and felt like it had settled into a stop. The display still read 3, and then, as I watched, it flickered and went blank. I pressed all of the buttons, none of them responding to my touch. The overhead light was still on, but it seemed everything else had died. I jumped when the elevator doors groaned open. I could see the ends of a few potted plants nestled on either side of the doors. An umbrella stand stood in the upper right-hand corner of a small entry area, made almost entirely of glass walls. I could see that there was a larger room the entryway was within, but it was completely empty. I took a tentative step forward. The room was a terrible pale teal color, with white ceilings and tan carpet. Besides the potted plants and umbrellas in this small glass entry, the room was, in fact, completely barren. And though I could see everything clearly, there didn't seem to be any light fixtures either. It was as if the light was just there. A filter laid out over the room and not coming from any source. I didn't have a shadow. Nothing did. I took another step. I could see now, just barely through the glass, that there seemed to be a small cove off the far corner of the room, and another to the left. I couldn't see what was in either of them, at least not from where I was standing. I fought with myself as to whether I should exit the glass entry. I had no idea where I was. My insides were twisted, and the uncanny lighting made my stomach hurt. And the silence. It was so quiet I could hear my heart beating in my chest. There wasn't the creak of floors above or of air vents. Nothing. I looked back to the elevator, seeing the doors were still open and my things laid haphazardly inside. I thought maybe I had died, and this was some sort of dream my dying mind had conjured. If that was the case, there was nothing to lose. On the off chance it was real, it wasn't as if the elevator was working now anyway. I grabbed for the handles on the glass doors and pulled them open, slipping through into the larger room. I walked forward first, looking to the left to see the room transitioned into a hallway. I couldn't quite make out the end, but I could see doors lined against both sides. A terrible wave washed over me the longer I looked, and I decided I would only walk that way if I had to. I turned to my right and made my way to the corner of the room. This time it wasn't a hallway, just a small cove where I saw the only two pieces of furniture in what seemed like this whole place. Two wooden benches sat on opposite walls, facing each other. I wondered if perhaps this was an unfinished section of something. Maybe a secret VIP floor or something. Lovely view, isn't it? I flew sideways, nearly stumbling onto my ass. A man who had come from God knows where stood just inches from me. He wasn't looking at me, but rather towards the cove and the blank back wall. He was wearing a suit, his hands clasped behind his back. His jet black hair was clean and styled. My eyes trailed up to his right ear, which was bloodied and scabbed over. A small trickle of blood ran down his neck and disappeared under his collar. I regained my bearings and nodded, though he couldn't see me. I turned my head to look back, and my eye caught on something in the hallway. Another man, though his features were much more indistinct, was walking towards us. He suddenly stumbled back against one of the hallway doors and grasped at his neck, clawing at it until even I could see the red against his skin. He slid down the wall, coming to a sitting position before his head lolled to look at me. I tore my gaze away, stealing a glance to make sure the man in the suit hadn't seen me see whatever that was. I wasn't sure why it mattered, but somehow I felt he would be upset had he known. "Oh goodness," I said after another moment of silence, finally finding my voice again. "I totally forgot my things in the elevator. Let me go get them." I didn't wait for him to affirm my statement as I turned on a heel and walked as quickly as I thought I could get away with, without seeming like I was escaping. I pulled open the glass doors and grabbed for one of the umbrellas. I shoved it through the handles. It wouldn't hold up to much, but hopefully it would give me enough time to get the fuck out of there. I sprinted to the elevator, awash with relief when I saw the bright red number 3 on the display. It didn't even matter what floor I was on, as long as the elevator worked this time. I pushed the buttons to all of the floors, elated to see the small ring of light respond to my touch. Then I heard the jingling of the doors and I made the mistake of looking back up. My heart leapt into my throat. The man in the suit had made it to the door and was pulling back on them, straining the umbrella. But it wasn't that he was trying to get in that made my body freeze in terror. His face had disappeared, and all that remained was a smooth surface with 2 small black dots positioned for eyes and a thin line winding upwards for a mouth. It didn't move as his urgent voice filled the otherwise empty room. "Please stay. Perhaps in a different place, a different time, I might have found the prospect of such a creature amusing. Surely, if I had seen such a thing in a movie, I would have laughed aloud. Only a child would be frightened by something so silly looking. But trapped in an elevator with only a flimsy umbrella between myself and it, I was lucky I found the strength to breathe. Please stay. His voice didn't change in tone of volume, he just kept repeating the same words. Please stay. I pressed the buttons again. Please stay. The umbrella was now warped. Please stay. He could fit his face through the gap. Please stay. The elevator shuddered. Please stay. It was the glass doors that gave away first, as the man yanked and they shattered completely. Please stay. Shards of glass clinked against my feet. Please stay. The elevator's doors closed. I held my breath as the elevator ascended, or as it felt like it ascended. I was gripping the rails again, my gaze focused on the 3 still on the display. The elevator shuddered again, and after what felt like hours, the display switched to 2, and then 1. Again, the elevator shuddered and the doors slid open. I only drew in breath when I saw the elderly couple standing not far from the doors. I almost collapsed with relief. You must have made 1,000,000 stops on the way down, the old man said. He took the wheelchair from my shaking hands. Thank you. The old woman stared at me a moment, a small smile on her face. You must not like elevators either. You look like you've seen a ghost. I forced a small chuckle. I wasn't quite sure what I'd seen. Now away from that awful place, my mind had already started to calm. It had been a hallucination or something, a daydream. I hadn't gotten much sleep the night before, so maybe I had somehow fallen asleep and had a nightmare. Anything. Did something break on your way down? The old man had moved behind me and was looking into the elevator. There's glass all over the place in here. I left the hotel soon after that. I don't remember if I answered the old man or not. I don't really remember a lot between then and when I got home. A few days after that was spent just lying awake, trying to piece things together. Nothing made sense, and it wasn't until I just stopped thinking about it that I was able to get back to a semblance of normalcy. That, and taking the stairs. There are a lot of reasons to fear elevators, and it seems I found the one that works for me. Should I have to ride in one, I never do it alone. I'm not sure if that protects me from that place, but I'd like to think it does. I want to give a huge thanks to last month's $5 and up patrons. Nameless, Catherine, Levy R, Swag Lord, something, Dustin A, Malth J, Taylor F, Joe S, Sexy Augustus, Eddie C, Sam M, Henry R, Boss the Virgo, Kara W, and all the other $5 and up and $2 patrons on screen as well. All of your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get an exclusive narration that will never, ever be uploaded to my channel. Usually, one a bit too extreme for YouTube. So that's at least one extra video every month for just $1, if not more. For $2 a month, you'll get thanked in the end scroll of every video, and for just $5 a month, I'll shout you out at the end of multiple videos a month personally. You also get exclusive Discord roles for those perks as well. If you'd like to chat with me for a bit, you can join me on a monthly live stream for just $10 a month and get a signed merch sticker for $25 a month. And if you're in the market for some horrifying shirts and hoodies, you can head on over to my Teespring store in the description as well. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @2ndClancy. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.